Hi everyone, my name is Ellie. I'm going to tell you about how my mom has been controlling me severely, just suffocating me with her tutelage. And I'll tell you how the story ends. I did uncover her devious plan. The three of us lived together, my dad, my mom, and I. But at some point, my mother drove my father away, and I wasn't told why or when. But I'll tell you one thing. After that incident, my mother seemed to be off the wall. She kept knocking on my room and even checked in on me in my sleep. Once I just woke up from a noise in my room and my heart went into my throat when I found that she was sitting opposite me on a chair and watching me sleep. I asked her not to do that, and when I asked her why, all she said was that I was too sweet to sleep and she liked to watch. Okay, Google how to get away from a maniacal mom. Well, really guys, you have to agree that all this was over the top, especially considering my age. I'm really sick of being asked, how was your day? What did you do? Who did you meet? What did you talk about? How's your boyfriend? Where is he now? What did you do? And these questions never ended, unlike my patients. To somehow stretch the distance between us, I started spending less time at home and more time with my friends. My friend April suggested we go to the movies one night, and we went straight there after school. The whole way there, I felt like someone was watching me. It was getting creepy. April took my hand, and I was surprised, and I screamed. "Hey, what's wrong? It's me." "I'm sorry. It's just that my mom's been busy at home, and I think she's decided to be both my mom and my dad." "That sucks. I get it. But then again, when my folks got divorced, it took me a year to get used to it. The thought that my dad was hanging out somewhere else. It's nice to have your opinion taken into account as well. But it's just too much. My mom will come into my room and ask me 100 times to make eggs. How much I love them and all that. It's just attention. Be happy." Let's go get seats. I'll get the popcorn." The time passed quickly, and it was a lot of fun. April and I had such a great time, and it even took my mind off my thoughts, and I forgot what to expect at home. However, that uncomfortable feeling of someone else's eyes on me wouldn't leave. Finally, my friend and I went out into the corridor, threw out our trash, and walked toward the exit. And then I noticed it, amongst the crowd, a painfully familiar silhouette. I ran up as quickly as possible and turned the man's shoulder toward me. "Mom, what are you doing here?" "Oh, you're here too? I have to pee. I was on my way from Aunt Nancy's and I had to pee at the wrong time." She lives on the other side of town." "Does she? Oh, well, I just happened to be here." "Mom, just go home, okay? I'll get home on my own." "Come on, why don't I drive you in April?" "We've got it, Mom. Go." The next day I went to school. They changed principals, so I had to be there a little early for assembly. I said goodbye to my mom, who'd already asked me 150 times in the morning how long I'd be in class and what I'd do after. I rolled my eyes, said nothing, and left quickly. Interestingly enough, passing by the parking lot at school, I saw her car and was stunned. What was she doing there? We said goodbye half an hour ago. I hid behind a nearby car, and my mom, after making sure I wasn't around, crawled out of the bushes. This caused some guys to laugh at me, and I felt ashamed. I yelled at her, saying, "What are you doing here? Why are you embarrassing me?" My friends and the principal himself came over to hear my screams. Mom immediately apologized to him and said she wanted to meet him in person. Strangely enough, he was actually happy about it. They started flirting right in front of me. It made me want to puke. I was just wondering, why would she do that? She seemed to be interested in a different kind of man, and April immediately pointed out that this was actually a good thing. It was good for me. After all, her attention would now be diverted by a new man. Although then I found out why she did it, and this truth was not as noble as I thought in the beginning. Anyway, a little later, those two started dating. I was at home and someone rang the doorbell, and when I opened it, I saw the principal there. He was standing on the doorstep with a bouquet, obviously not for me. My mother blushed, and so did he, so I just wished them a good evening and began to make plans for my time. However, I rejoiced too early. That same evening, I met April, and she spent the whole evening on the phone, texting with someone, and my friend wouldn't say with whom. She said it was with her boyfriend, but I knew he was in another country at a chess competition at the moment. That is, his phone was out of reach. What was my friend hiding from me? I asked April to get me some water and told her I'd hold her purse, and I quickly looked into her phone myself. Yeah, that was to be expected. She was texting with my mother. Where we were, what we were doing, she was secretly sending her pictures of me. I didn't say anything and just went home. In the morning at school, the principal came to all our classes, and they were classes where I was. I gradually realized that I no longer had any personal life, that my mother had befriended and coaxed my friends, my boyfriend. She even began to meet the principal to control me from a distance. I blushed just thinking about it. My boyfriend and April said how great she was. I just wondered how much she'd paid them. A couple of days later, when I waited until the weekend, I went for a drive by myself. I didn't trust anyone anymore. I stopped at a gas station and saw April there. Weird. We chatted and I drove away. Then I saw my boyfriend's car in the distance, but I didn't call him. And guess what? I arrived at the river where I used to rest my thoughts, and there he was, my boyfriend. Paul, if you don't leave right now, I'm going to throw you in the river, I told him. He tried to make excuses, but I heard messages coming in for him. I abruptly grabbed my phone and pushed it into the river. Paul fell into the water trying to save it, and I quickly read his messages. Wow, they're sharing a freaking chat room with my mom, the principal, my friends, and even some of the store clerks in the neighborhood. What kind of total surveillance is this? And then I realized that my phone was probably tapped. I immediately smashed it and drove away in my car before Paul came out. Fuck all of you! They're all conspiring against me. How could they even do that? I felt hurt. I knew I wasn't going home, but where could I go? Nowhere else, except to him. That's for sure. I knocked on the door. Knock, knock, and he opened it. Hi, daughter. This is out of the blue. Good to see you. I decided to stay at my dad's place for the time being. It seemed to me that I had the right to choose, that my father left, or maybe my mother did, because I wasn't told the reason for their divorce. My father welcomed me warmly. His apartment was awful, though. It smelled like tobacco smoke, and there was nothing on the table but empty bottles. This half-naked woman came out of the bathroom, also with a cigarette in her mouth. Dad explained to me who she was, and then he turned to me and said, "You can stay here as long as you want. You're always welcome." But I didn't know then that I wanted to run away from there in a couple of days, and it wasn't just the stench and the filth. According to my father, my mother kicked him out and took me away, and then he started drinking out of grief, but he promised to get better. Though I could hardly believe it, Dad drank more and more each time. And one day he passed out, and his woman was talking to someone on the phone. Yeah, his daughter came over. Joe said he almost figured out where her mother keeps the money. What? No, he didn't. That was his plan. We're going to take the house away from them, too. Joe deserves it, she said, and just went into a stupor. Slowly, I left the room, and I put something in Dad's woman's bottle. She didn't notice, took a sip, and passed out, while I ran away without a phone, money, or communication. I walked about 2 kilometers in the middle of the night. I was so scared. I was hungry, and I realized that I was a fool myself, that my mom was probably just protecting me from him, and I didn't know it. I took it as an attempt to stupidly control my miserable life. When I eventually ran out of strength, I collapsed on the road, and a passing car pulled up next to me. My mother and the principal were in there. She was crying so hard. I couldn't believe they'd found me. Mom! Mom! Daughter, thank God you're alive. How glad I am. God, how glad I am. Mom hugged me and explained the whole situation, saying that she'd called my father 100 times, but he didn't answer the phone. And when they came, a strange woman opened the door and said, "You have the wrong address." And I didn't even hear it because there was music blaring in the house most of the day and half the night. Anyway, I was right. My father had a self-serving agenda, but the worst part was that I could think so badly of my mother and my friends, and even my boyfriend. We agreed that they wouldn't do it again. They wouldn't cross the line, and I, in turn, would never hang out with my dad again. What would you do if you were me? Tell me, friends. Did you like my story? Write your opinion about it in the comments below the video. Don't forget to like it, share the video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel.